Hey everybody, this is Nick. Today we're going to be talking about police versus protesters on Paco's Insight. This video is going to probably have some images that people don't agree with, so we're just going to kind of review it and maybe give our opinions on what we see. We hope that you like it, and if you have any comments, concerns, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe, hit the bell so that you get notified every time we go live and post a good video. Paco, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, it's this topic that we're going to be watching a video on has been a topic ever since the whole BLM movement started. You know, that's the real question that it's on everybody's mind: is should we defund the police?
Right.
You know,
and I think that it's obviously something that's prevalent right now as we look at the Derek Chauvin trial, and we've been covering that. Like, other protesters gonna hit. I feel like no matter what happens, there's going to be an incident. If he goes to jail for life, they're going to burn half the city down. If he walks out tomorrow, they're going to burn half the city down. But
yeah, I feel like a lot of people will be more happy though if he goes to jail for life. But
I think that it's such a strange time in society where the protests, and I don't really know what they can do to make it better. You know, I mean, you need police to do some basic stuff. But if you have bad cops, who polices the police besides the police? It starts to get a little bit.
It starts
strange.
it starts to get to a point where, you know, it's who polices the police, especially in today's. It seems like the civilians are the ones policing the police, you know, with the cell phones and recording everything, you know. I mean, everything's on camera nowadays.
Yeah, that's more like an audit, right? That's more like them auditing the police so that they are always in check. But you always going to have a cop, you know, dirty cop, once in a lifetime dirty cop that does something, you know, makes everybody else look bad.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly the majority of the cops are not out there doing this stuff. And, you know, most cops are never going to use their firearm at all in the course of their career. So I think that to say cops are out shooting people at crazy numbers, it's just not true, you know?
Yeah, no, it's not, but it's certainly is a tough time to be in law enforcement.
Yeah, it's tough. You know, I think that police officers it's going to get worse for them before it gets any easier.
Mm.
And when you think about in our lifetime, like 9/11, when 9/11 happened, everybody was all pro police, pro firefighter. You know, these people were heroes. They ran into the building to save other people. And I remember really everybody loving cops around, you know, the 2001 time. Like, after 9/11, cops were viewed as heroes. And then slowly, you know, the society shifted, ideologies changed. And now you have just a real disdain for the police. And it's a taste that people just don't vibe with anymore. But you still expect them to go to work and risk their lives every day. You expect them to respond when you call them, but you only want them to do certain things. And that's kind of scary.
Yep.
You want to get into the video a little bit and kind of see what they're talking about here?
Yep.
I'm afraid when I see the police every single time because I don't know what that interaction is going to lead to.
My name is Brian. I'm 28 years old. I'm a police officer in Michigan. I've been doing this for 4 years.
My name is Gloria. I'm with the Youth Justice Coalition based in LA, and I'm 24 years old.
My name is Dorian, 30 years old, from Compton, California. I'm a peace officer.
My name is Will. I'm 42 years old.
I'm a former police officer. I did that for about 18 years.
My name is Ethan. I'm 19 years old. I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm a junior supply chain management major from D. Howard University.
So my name is Hennessy. I am 22 years old. I'm from New York City.
Hold on.
I'm just a simple protester.
I just want to comment on a couple things.
Mm-hmm.
No justice, no peace. That pretty much sums up what's going to happen to this Derek Chauvin guy, or at least what they want to happen. Another thing is that lady's name is Hennessy.
Yes.
Don't put me on the full screen. Her name is Hennessy, like the drink Hennessy, I assume.
It's spelt the same way, yes. Yep.
That's a swish. Paco, your real nickname should have been Mike's Hard Lemonade.
It would have been even more. It would have been more of a swish if she went, my name's Hennessy, but everybody calls me Henny for short.
My name's Hennessy, but my nickname is Tito's.
Yeah.
Anyways, go ahead and let's get back into it. Looks like it's going to get pretty heated.
3 cops versus 3 protesters. At least they kept
Turn
it
your
even.
camera off if this is not true for you. I've witnessed police brutality.
I mean, it's happened more than one time, and the 2 times that it's happened, it's been because I've been pulled over, because I've been with my friends that have like tattoos, and just like being told to get on the ground, like just listening to the officers' demands and still being pushed to.
I highly doubt that's why she got pulled over.
It's not police brutality.
If you begin to,
I got pulled over because I was with friends and they had tattoos. How do you expect us to believe that the cop that pulled you over saw their tattoos before pulling you guys over?
Yeah, that's not true.
Like that, like you would have been able, you would have had a better argument saying, "Oh, I got pulled over. My friends had tattoos, and we were smoking weed, and they smelt weed from the car." Then there's your probable cause. But even now, then cops really don't care about that type of stuff. I'm sure they do, but probably not as much as it used to be, because people smoke weed everywhere now. So,
I mean, it's tough because I don't want to give my personal opinion and say, because my personal opinion is different from the law. I believe that all drugs should just be legalized because we have alcohol that is legal. In some states have marijuana that's legal. And if you get drunk enough, you're going to go drive, you're going to go kill somebody. That's already, a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Now you've got people out doing crack and heroin and everything else, and they're just infiltrating the justice system, and they're making the job for the police a lot harder. If the police don't have to interact with these people who are doing the drugs, they don't have to interact with drug dealers, they don't have to deal with any of that stuff. Their job is safer, and there's more profit to go to the government. So yes, I believe drugs should be legalized, but right now it's illegal. So if you're using drugs or you have a history of being a drug dealer or you have warrants or whatever, you're really opening up that door for the police to interact with you. If you have dirty, like a expired registration or inspections or whatever, you're opening that door for the police to interact with you. If you're not wearing a seatbelt, you're opening the door for the police to interact with you. And once they do, your friends have tattoos. I don't think just because they have tattoos, they're getting taken out of the car. Exactly. There's definitely more to the story that she's not telling you. She wants you to hear her narrative, and that's about the end of it.
Yeah. Now, granted, she's a protester, so she's the whole, no justice, no peace, all that stuff. So obviously she's gonna say anything negative or anything that she finds negative to bash the police. Yeah. Two protesters have seen police brutality. 1 cop has. So at least the cop's on the list. So,
well, I mean, he probably just saw excessive use of force. But
yeah. Yep.
Like, ask for an attorney or a lawyer.
I mean, when I was attending the Indianapolis protest for Drayshawn Reed. When after the protest, when I was going to my car, I was seen by 4 officers, but I see my car, so my car over here across the street. So I'm just like, excuse me, officers, like, there's about 4 of them. So I was like, I'm trying to get to my car. And they were like, no, go home. And one of them pushed me, which I seen as unnecessary. So I did push them back, which is something I shouldn't have done. Now look at it, but like me getting pushed back and then get pepper sprayed, I seen that as, kind of overuse the force.
Growing up, my best friend was Hispanic and had cousins that were troublemakers and gangs. So on a few occasions, the gang squad in the city I grew up in would pull us over, pull everybody out, kind of manhandle us. There was another time where it's not excessive force, but I was a victim of a robbery, and I knew the suspect, and I was, a juvenile, and made a police report, and nothing ever came of it. So just remembering that when I got older and became a police officer, that you want to be treated fairly, and you also have to treat people fairly.
So I've never witnessed it, but I've been in plenty of situations where there's a dog pile on the ground. You have to apprehend somebody. It's a lawful arrest, and they want to put up a fight. But if I ever see anything where someone's continuing to apply pressure or, give a knee or something, push them away. Say, hey, we're good. We got him in custody. And that's the end of it. And the George Floyd case is huge. You see those officers just standing around. I don't understand why none of them ripped that guy off his back.
This is more
He touches
for the officer.
He makes a good point. That like the officer, I think his last name's Tao, the guy who was getting Jolly Ranchers and Skittles out of his bag in his trunk. That's exactly.
Yeah, he didn't do anything. And
Yeah,
I don't
he's
think
standing
that
around.
he was a rookie. I don't think that guy Tao was a rookie. Was he a rookie?
I don't think so. No.
I don't think he was. I know the other 2 were.
Yep.
Some of the crowd control tactics that you've seen in the videos of these protests.
Whoa, pause it.
Right.
Pause it. That video that they just showed of that NYPD cruiser going through the crowd.
Yep.
Well, at some point, those people are throwing stuff at the car, breaking the glass, breaking the windows, putting that cop's life in danger. It was a reaction, right? Fight or flight. You're either, as a human being, there's only so much you can take before you try to get out of the situation. I think that's more reactionary than on purpose. I don't think that guy said, I'm going to plow through these people. If you watch that clip for more than 2 seconds, you see that he was just like herding sheep out of the street. And then they started to ambush his cruiser, and he started to go into fight or flight, and he flew. And when he flew, he hit the gas pedal and caused that issue. But that's a natural response. Put you in that situation. I mean, I'm not going to touch on this today, but I'm sure that there's plenty of situations of people driving a car. The car gets attacked. You think people are disciplined enough to drive through while they're being attacked without hitting the gas to get the hell out of there? You're wrong. It's just a reaction. It's not unintentional.
And even cop or not, even if that happens to an everyday civilian, road rage incident or whatever, somebody jumps on your car, first thing, your first reaction is going to be is to, get out of Dodge, whether that be backing up or, flooring it.
I think that's a good idea for a video because there's a couple of different incidents where that stuff happened. That's kind of like they made it seem like these people did it on purpose, but that's not even the case.
Yeah.
I think these people were just like scared, so they did what they had to do because they were scared. Yeah.
And plus, and let's say even if those cops weren't even there for the protest itself, let's say they're trying to get to a call, they're hindering them from potentially saving somebody's life.
Right.
So they're going to do whatever they need to do to get to that call, whether that means plowing over a couple of protesters that want to take a joyride on the roof of their car. So be it. It's kind of, that's how the cookie crumbles.
That's what this country is built on. But you do have provocateurs, you do have agitators in the crowd. To me, it just doesn't seem like everything is always peaceful, no matter what. and then it just goes to shit. So I don't know. I'm okay with some, but I'm not okay with others.
I don't know, as a protester, I'm just not sure if for any protest, even if it gets a little more like loud and I guess a little.
Loud is not a problem. Chaos is the problem.
I just don't know if it's like appropriate to use tear gas or rubber bullets. Tear gas can actually kill someone. It agitates asthma, and rubber bullets can cause serious damage depending on where you hit it. Maybe.
Okay, but yet you protesters can throw stuff at cops, and the stuff you throw at them, rocks, debris, bottles, Molotov cocktails, that can kill them, but that's okay? Like, what point are you trying to make there, Henny?
I think that what they're missing is feedback. I'm feeding back. I think that what's happening here is if you're a protester and you already know that they have rubber bullets and that they have tear gas, and you decide willingly to go down and protest knowing that you could get hit with the rubber bullets and the tear gas, the problem is you. You already know that these guys have these tools. They are simply just deterrents so that you don't go there and protest and loot and burn stuff down. That's why they have that. You know what I'm saying? They don't want you to burn and destroy businesses. That's the point, is they don't want you to do that. So they have tear gas as a deterrent to get you to stop doing this. They have pepper ball guns to stop you from, participating in illegal activity. There's peaceful protests and then there's riots. And sometimes I definitely believe that people that are trying to do peaceful protests, that all gets ruined by a couple of people who decided that's not enough and they need to do riots or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, sorry for that short thing. I had to mute my mic so there was no feedback so Nick could talk. But yeah, no, and the thing is, though, a lot of, and like Nick says, a lot of these protests, some of them start off peaceful. But towards the end, you get the rowdy bunch that are just there to stir the pot, mess with some cops, and usually what happens is it's a cause and effect. One person starts it, other people join in. And then that's how these riots, turn out where, cruisers get lit on fire, businesses gets destroyed, burned down, it's most of these protests don't stay peaceful. A lot of them don't.
One woman go blind, you know what I mean? I just don't know if that's like appropriate.
I'm perfectly okay with that. My only problem is, give me a solution. What other things do you think that we should do as opposed to that, minus de-escalating? Because de-escalation requires cooperation. If I'm telling you, hey, let's bring it down, you're not listening to me, then it's not effective, right? Because we have to maintain order. That is kind of my that's my profession. That's my job.
Looting
That guy.
and destruction of property are acceptable parts.
This video is going to go well over a half hour today. And I think it should, because that guy had a great point.
And actually, we owe it to you guys to go over our half an hour because we didn't stream yesterday or the day before. So we'll give it to you. We'll give you a long stream today. But plus, they're touching, like Nick says, on a lot of good points.
That
guy knows what he's talking about. He's keeping it real.
He said it requires cooperation. If I'm telling you to tone it down and you're not listening to me, that's a swish.
Yeah, he worded that perfectly. Yep.
Of protesting.
I think it is acceptable. And I know I'll be challenged for this at every single stage, but I think that, one, we need to recognize that we're on stolen land. Two, we need to recognize that folks that have been completely robbed and stolen from their land, their people, their roots. And I think that what people need to really, instead of focusing and putting all that hate on people that are looting, think about what caused all that anger.
So when I went to my protest, it was really peaceful until.
Think about that stolen land concept. Well, everybody was living on stolen land. Like people invaded other countries throughout history that go all the way back to the dawn of time. Is it all stolen land?
So what
That's
is
such a stupid thing to say.
So what point is she trying to make? That we're on stolen land, so it's all right to steal? Like what? To return the favor? Like what is this?
So stolen land. If stolen land sucked so bad, why are immigrants risking their lives to come here illegally? They're dumping their children in banana boats and sending them here.
Like what is this? The day that the Pilgrims landed on Plymouth Rock here?
Yeah, she's crazy. Like stolen land. It's ancient history at this point.
Yeah.
What more could you do?
Everybody knows that the Americans stole this land from the Indians. I mean,
did they steal it or did they fight for it and win it? I mean, you look at it however you want to look at it. You can use the word steal.
Yeah, everybody, you can look at it any way you want to look at it. Like, did they steal it or did they go to war and did we win it?
Did they invade it? You know, did those people invade the land? Like, how many times in history it was Israel stolen, if that's what you're going to call it? Because sometimes you'll have like the Muslim whatever will take it over, then it's the Jewish people, and it's always like a war zone.
You want and she wants to touch base on stolen land. Okay, well, you want to bring up stolen land. Stolen land is when Hitler invaded France and stole France from frickin' the French.
That was
That's stolen land.
Anyways,
her points. I don't understand them.
Stolen land.
Stolen land. We're living on stolen land.
Like about 9 or 10, that's when you see people like starting to throw stuff at buildings, and it really is people are just mad and people are frustrated. They're trying to get their anger out, and you will see destruction and you will see violence because people are tired of being unheard. And it's not something I condone, but it's something that will happen because of this. People that do it also, a lot of the time, looters just be trying to hit licks. I gotta be honest. I see people that just take advantage of the situation that people are like breaking in stuff. Be like, oh, I'm about to go hit that bank real quick. I'm about to hit that store real quick. So for black people out there, please do not loot because they're gonna preach you as the thugs and they're gonna make it seem like you're the bad guy. At the end of the day, when white people loot, they're gonna call them employees and Antifa. When black people loot or black people rob, they're gonna call us thugs. It just feeds into the racist narrative that in turn is just.
When white people loot, they're gonna get called employees or Antifa.
I don't know what that means.
What, Antifa? Or what he meant by that?
I've never I'm not going to say anything about this because I'm not sure. But I don't really know what that comment really means. So.
I see what he means about the Antifa people, but employees, white people who steal are going to get seen as either employees or Antifa. That's not true. If there's a video of a white guy throwing a rock through a business, he's not going to be called an employee at that point or Antifa. He's going to be in the same crowd as getting called a looter.
Definitely not the kind of person that I want to associate with. I don't care what the
Antifa. To be honest with you, Antifa. That's on a whole nother level than looters. There's looters that are there to steal stuff and just whatever, and then Antifa's just there to stir the pot and basically just blow crap up. Antifa's a terrorist organization at this point. They're classified as a terrorist organization, actually. That's how big Antifa is. And Antifa is at all these protests, all these riots, because they're there for one thing, and that's just to start chaos.
Is there a racist element to Antifa? Are they white people that are angry?
I can look up the actual.
Because I don't even understand. Maybe I'm just,
a person or group actively opposing fascism.
Yeah, I get that. That's the name, but what does Antifa really want? Let's see that one.
No. Understanding who Antifa is provides the answer to what Antifa wants. Antifa is a communist organization, and communism is much like that religious theocracy. What is that fucking word?
Theocracy.
Theocracy. Thank you. That claims to possess the ultimate truth of human existence, and in that has the absolute authority to direct and control the lives of all human beings.
It doesn't seem like there's really an element of race there. It just seems like these people are crazy. You know what I mean?
It is strongly opposed to President Trump and the alt-right and has organized many protests and counter-protests since Trump's election.
I mean, listen, it's fair to say that when you think of like Trump supporters, you think of like white people, like a white dude. When you think of somebody going against that, not a white dude who's throwing rocks at a store is probably not what you're going to think of.
Yeah.
Just saying. Like, I just don't think that's real. And I feel bad, but I don't see what that has to do with these protests exactly. These people, it's like a group of people that when they get to the protest, they decide they're going to loot. That's not a peaceful protest, but the guys that are saying that they want a peaceful protest, not all of them are trying to stop these people from looting and like making their protest look stupid. Do you know what I'm saying? Like if I was there and I was protesting something and somebody did something that was like a criminal act, I would try to stop them so that they don't ruin the protest, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. No, and I'm with you on that too. I mean, I'm a little lost on that myself. So I guess we can continue. Hope maybe he'll give some insight on what he means. But
is living in an inner city. I didn't. I grew up in a suburb, and it was like 98% white. I was very sheltered. But I'll say for all the people who are sheltered out there, and it's probably the vast majority of America, it's going to be really hard for them to sympathize and empathize with the Black Lives Matter movement when they start seeing looters, when they start seeing buildings burning. They're just going to think, oh, wow, like you guys are acting ridiculous. But your voice is very powerful.
It's important for folks to remember that this is not a moment. This is a movement. Folks are uprising because they're tired and sick and tired of the same things happening over and over and over again, right? Looting might not be right? But like I said, if it's not right, what about when folks were enslaved? What about all the gold that was taken? What about all these things? What about the land, right? So no, I do stand in solidarity with folks that are doing the looting, that are doing the uprisings, that are in the protests, because there's layers to this.
This lady
is on another level.
She is so far from reality. This lady right here.
At the end of the day, you gotta see it for what it is, and it is a whole lot of people standing together. Even though I do see as a just cause, and I went to protest myself, I think it's a just cause, and I'm doing right for my people. But at the end of the day, you just gotta see it for what it is, and it could potentially spread COVID. Just as Trump rallies can spread COVID, just as people opening their businesses can spread COVID, just as people opening restaurants can spread COVID.
I get it. I understand the protests. I understand why people are tired. I understand that people are tired of being tired. So, I mean, if it's a risk they're willing to take, by all means. And you, at the end of the day, will reap the consequences or the benefits of your decision.
Of course, you can probably likely to get sick from COVID-19, but there are also people giving out PPE, and they're encouraging everyone to wear masks. And a lot of protests, even though it doesn't tend to happen, they do advertise, hey, can you stay 6 feet apart? That'd be great. I would rather fight for something I believe in and die for what I believe in.
People want to always shut down people's power, and they always.
I feel like Hennessy did a pretty good job there of explaining like what she'd like to see about the masks and all that. they're 6 feet apart. Like Hennessy seems like a genuine protester compared to this girl Gloria, who's like to the ninth degree, has no concept of reality.
She's like living in like the, the 1600s when the Pilgrims first landed on, Plymouth Rock.
Gloria is the exact person that you say, all right, if you hate this country because it stole the land from people, then go back to a country where the land wasn't stolen, I guess. You're talking about gold and slavery, and you don't even understand how slavery happened.
Land had to have been discovered somehow, so.
All right. So let's listen to what she's got to say here, because she's going to get us all tight on here.
Yeah, and everything she says is going to get us pretty tight. She takes me as the type of person who would come up with conspiracy theories about everything.
Yeah. I always want to make sure that we're like, oh, now it's like it's your fault. You all are making sure that the pandemic is thriving. No, let's look at it as a whole. Let's look at how law enforcement officers are not wearing any masks, right? And I saw it firsthand because when I was arrested again, the officers doing intake, the officers doing processing, the officers on the bus were not wearing any masks. And when we asked them, why are you not wearing a mask? We're wearing masks. And they were like, oh, we're 6 feet apart from you all. No, you're not. You're asking me where my number is to book me. So let's look at that, and let's also bring that out to the media too.
Hold on. One thing. I don't wear a mask. When I'm going on duty, I don't wear a mask, and that's my personal choice. I am also not going to look at you and say, hey, you over there, why are you not wearing a mask? I'm not going to do that. That is your personal choice. That is you. I do know that I've seen people try to switch the narrative, but
she doesn't look impressed at all.
It's not normal people. Most normal people are not going to be complaining that you don't have a mask.
No, I perfectly understand that. I'm just saying that a lot of people watch the media, and so then they'll portray these protests, right, very different. And so, just like you said, right, you don't wear a mask, right? That's fine. I do think you should wear a mask for your safety because it is a pandemic, and to me, it is real. And I want to respect other people's space and other people's opinions. I do want to make sure that I had a mask just to keep people safe.
Law enforcement in the U.S. has become too militarized.
Hold on.
See, I knew all the protesters were going to agree with that.
I fully agree with this myself. I just want to make this clear. I 150% agree that police has become too militarized. And before they say what they're going to say, I want to just talk about what I'm going to say. This is an interesting thing that got brought up here, but police departments have Bearcat could take the front of a house down type of machinery that is retired military equipment. They have all kinds of military surplus. If you look at a cop in 1995, say, and really anything before 2000, usually they had like a hat on. They always wore a tie. They looked like cops. Now you look at a cop, they look like they're going to a wreck. They have trauma plates. They have a BDU tucked into the boots, and they don't wear hats, and they have the sunglasses like tactical watches and all this other stuff. It's all about tactical this and tactical that. And the police cruisers, you can't even tell it's a police car anymore. Now it's got the ghosted out, police decals and stuff. You can't even tell that's a cop. For a fact, I believe it's too much militarization and so much distance from the community. You don't have a walking beat officer. The cops don't know who's who. Can you name like 5 cops? Probably not. But in the past, everybody kind of knew who the cop was, and, your parents had a relationship with him or something like that, or, they'd bust a kid. Now it's like these cops look like they're freaking going to war, so absolutely, I think they're too militarized. Obviously, they need to have things that make them safer, but to another extent, like, I don't think police departments need drones or ghosted out decals. I think that they should be, everybody needs to know that that's a cop. I don't think that. I think a lot of what they're doing, the stealthy stuff, is too much, in my opinion. Paco doesn't agree.
I don't even know where to.
He
give my
loves
opinion on it.
Paco
I mean,
loves it, the tactical stuff.
Me personally, I like the ghosted out liveries and the, you know,
Yeah,
cops.
Paco,
I like the cops walking in up to a call looking like they know they're just about the mean business, you know.
I hate that.
Like Nick hates the Chuck Tanners tucked into their BDU pants, and they have instead of wearing you know, nice dress pants, they're wearing cargo pants with seven pouches on it. They got
I hate that.
they got their trauma kit right on their plate carrier, and they have a pocket knife, a flashlight, two extra sets of handcuffs, 4 mags, an AR mag. You know, Nick hates all that. Me, I think it looks cool. There's a cop that does a detail at the mall I work at in Brockton, and he does a detail, and he walks in there on detail for a 4-hour shift, and he has a plate carrier on over his uniform, and he has handcuff pouch, you know, his taser's clipped right here, you know, he has two extra handcuffs, you know, thing of OC spray, you know, he's wearing and ready to go, and he's doing a detail at a mall. You know, now in my profession, like if I did security and dressed like that, that would be a little too much for security. For like private security, that would be a little too much. But I feel like we live in a day and age now where, unfortunately, cops need to look like that. You know, they need to have all this extra equipment because this is the world we ultimately live in. You know.
So I'm going to try to show you a picture. This is about 1975.
Hold on, let me pull up your thing so they can see it a little bit.
You can pretty much see all these cops have hats on, little jackets.
Yeah.
You know,
they got ties and
they got
everything.
ties on. Now I'm going to just type in 2020 cop. And this is 2020.
Hold on.
I'm trying to get it to focus in here, but I don't know if it's going to work out. Can you see that? They got trauma plates. They got freaking helmets. They got riot shields. They got BDU pants. They got drop holsters. What the? They got the AR-15. They got the. This guy has.
I got the same picture. I'll boot it up for him on my end.
He's got a SIG with a flashlight, with a gas mask. Like, what the F is this?
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
If you actually look, this is a normal cop. This is a normal cop. This cop is in SWAT. I can read his patch. It says Dallas Police SWAT. Dallas Police SWAT.
All right, so here we go. Paco's trying to give me the 9. What
so
about
this
the
guy's,
cop?
So this guy's a SWAT. This guy's a SWAT. This guy, I don't know. He's wearing the same uniform as this guy, so maybe he's.
Look at him. Look at him, Patrick. He looks like he's going to go play goalie in a hockey tournament.
Yeah, and actually, this guy is actually one of them. This guy's actually what? Like, looks like a sergeant.
Yeah, this is insanity.
And then this guy, and then look at this this SWAT guy back here. Look at him. He has a 40 mic grenade launcher.
We've been talking about the Derek Chauvin trial, right? And one of the things that they discuss in the use of force is the number one use of force. The number one use of force thing is your presence. You can't compare. Look at that. That's intimidating, right? That's a use of force in itself. These dudes look like they're about to beat you up senseless, you know? What is that guy wearing? What is,
This
he
guy
looks like
Darth Vader.
Darth Vader's cousin. What the hell? All right, type in just type in whatever you want. 19. Just type in 2001. Just type in 2001 cop. Because this is when I think things started to change. So look at that cop right. Look at that NYPD cop right in the beginning.
Right here?
You can pick any. Yeah.
The one with his tongue sticking out?
Yeah.
I don't think that's an actual NYPD cop.
Okay, so pick another one. But I mean, they got the hat on. They got a badge. See those 3 cops right there? Right in the middle? That's perfect. They got their hats on. You can tell they're wearing their vests underneath their uniform. They look pretty sharp. They don't look like they're going to kill you, but they look like they look pretty sharp.
Yeah.
They don't have riot gear and all that. They don't look like a Darth Vader's cousin. They just look like cops. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
See that one on the far left with his tie on? Like, this is the cop I want to pull me over. He just looks like he's a cop. You know, he's got his vest on, yes. Look at these cops. Like, that's who I want to pull me over. They got a gun. They got a badge. They wear their hat. They just kind of look like cops. I don't want to get pulled over by Tactical Tony. Look at these guys. They just grab those helmets. You know what I'm saying? But they still look like cops. They don't look like they're going to go kill you.
Kind of looks
you know
like this picture was taken after 9/11, so they probably have these on.
Yeah, that was on 9/11, I think.
Yeah, so excuse these pictures, but look, they don't have plate carriers, they don't have AR-15s or 40 mic grenade launchers, they just have helmets on in their uniforms. That's it.
Yeah, and there's a building falling down around them, so
yeah, so obviously they want to have helmets on. You know, but you can see times with now if I go to like
1980,
1980s, let's pull up an LAPD cop.
Well, in all fairness, the LAPD still kind of look the same.
Yeah, all right. So yeah, let's just do 1980s cop.
Because the LAPD, how different could they look? I mean, unless they're on SWAT, right? They always look pretty good.
Yeah. Really? There's no pictures of 1980s cops?
Just go with the LAPD guy. Look at that guy. Look at that. That guy's not going to take any business. And there's somebody running by him with a chainsaw. You see that? This guy's running by him with a chainsaw.
What the heck is Pasadena? I mean, look at this guy. He looks... I don't know what... Oh, this is a Texas Chainsaw. So this is for the movie Texas Chainsaw. But anyways, yeah. Guy's running by him with a fake chainsaw, and he's just sitting there like, yeah, I'm getting paid $30 an hour to just stand there.
I look at this cop, and that cop looks like the kind of cop I could go talk to about anything. You know what I mean? He looks approachable.
Yeah,
but he also looks like he doesn't take any L's.
Yeah, he has his revolver, no drop down leg holster. He looks like he's just, going with the flow.
Like, I would go talk to that cop. That cop makes me feel comfortable just looking at his picture.
Yep. And then I think that was British. These are British cops.
Yeah. They don't have guns, so they need all the ammo they can have. But
here we go. Here's another picture of Pasadena cops.
Oh, yeah, dude. These cops look, cool.
Yeah.
See their shoes? Their shoes look pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I like these cops. I feel like I could approach them. They don't look like, they don't have bear mace strapped around their chests.
Oh, yeah. And back in what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. And back then, every cop basically had a mustache. If you didn't have a mustache in the 80s on the police department, you couldn't be a cop. I mean, almost everybody back in the 80s had mustaches. It was also a different time, though. Cruisers weren't like what they were today. I mean, look at this guy.
You see, that's a nice cruiser. And that's not even a cop. That's
Oh,
a
yeah,
public
that's a-
safety officer.
Yeah, but look at his uniform.
He looks nice.
Yeah.
You know, it's clearly that's a police officer. You know that that's a cop. You don't have to think that that's a soldier or something. That's a cop. Those are cops. They look sharp. Do you know what I mean? These guys they don't have body armor on or anything. They're just driving around in a car that matches their uniform, by the way. They look like the car is part of their whole thing.
Yeah. Cops back then, I'm sure, were big on community relations. Look at this. He's taking a picture with a kid, whether it's his son or somebody he knows. But he was nice enough to pose for a picture with the kid.
It's cool. Now you go to cops today, and they all look like they're just going to invade Poland.
Yeah. Like the Mass State Police uniforms?
No, the Mass State Police uniforms, even though they look like Nazis, they still look very sharp.
You think so?
Yeah. And that's another uniform that hasn't changed in 1,000 years or whatever, 100 years. Yeah, they look exactly the same.
You think these guys are dressed like they're invading Poland?
I mean, they definitely look like they're invading Poland, but at least they don't have all kinds of trauma plates and AR-15s and all this other stuff. You know, they have a very simple uniform. It looks, it's clean. They don't look like...
Why are the state... I never understood why the state police badges are so small.
I have no idea, dude. Let's get back to the...
Yeah, we digress.
Yeah.
Yeah, we spent way too much time flipping.
Let's watch the video. Get back to the...
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot I was showing the screen.
One or two things need to occur. There needs to be reform, or there needs to be a demilitarization. A lot of these instances occur because police have using their firearm unjustly. So let's take the case of Rashard Brooks, for example. It all started because he was asleep at a McDonald's. It was something so light that ended with him getting shot in the back. You see what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it's like, why do these things get escalated so much where these things have to occur, where lethal force has to occur? You could have chased him. You could have found him later. Like, at the end of the day, there's other ways around it other than lethal force.
Disagree. Hold on.
That Rashard Brooks case that he's talking about, is that the case where the guy stole the cop's taser?
Yes. And then he ran away with the taser. That's exactly what that is.
And he said that was not justified, which it's
110% justified.
Yeah.
It's already been arbitrated. Let's continue. That's a bad example of why they should be demilitarized.
Yeah. Like, he didn't touch base on nearly,
Yeah.
what happened.
Go back to what Dorian was bringing up around, like, what do we do? Maybe if officers weren't killing people, maybe that would be a solution. Maybe if in LA County, LAPD wouldn't have killed around 900 people, right? 900 individuals. And we're talking about over-militarization of law.
What's that have to do with them being over-militarized?
Almost all of the dead were men. Nearly 80% were black or Latino. And that's since 2000. And there's nearly been 900. She's making it sound like there's been like 900 killings by LAPD in the last
year.
6 months. This is since the year 2000.
Hold on 1 second. So that's LA County.
Yeah, that's LA County. I think I'll talk while Nick looks that up. I feel like Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department probably shoot more people on a weekly basis than LA. I mean, if you watch a guy called Donut Operator, a lot of videos he covered, a majority of them are Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. They shoot like on average 2 or 3 people a week. But that has nothing to do with it. Like Nick was saying, what she's touching base on, it has nothing to do with it. You can get shot for a number of reasons, whether it be, whether it is,
So
like,
the cops killed 900 people, but there were 300 homicides There were 300 homicides in LA just in 2020 just in 2020. 300 homicides in a year in LA. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The cops killed 900 people in 21 years. 300 people were murdered in 1 year. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And how many of those 300 murders were officer-involved shootings?
0. That's just
Exactly.
them.
So, I don't know. What I'm getting from this video is don't listen to it. Whatever Miss Gloria here says, I would not listen to a word she tells me about protests or anything. Her views on it are just so far-fetched that it's almost laughable with how her views are on it. You know, like Hennessy has some good points, and the other guy has some good points. I can't remember his name, but Gloria here, she's living. She has her head under a rock.
It's crazy. What she spews out is so insane.
Like she's sitting here living about like, oh well, remember the slaves? Yeah, well, what slaves got to do with anything?
Hang on 1 second.
Yeah. You know, like what do slaves or anything, you know, have to do with anything? You know, it's, you know, it's just like I said, her viewpoints are so far out there that it's ridiculous. You know, like, oh, well, we're living on stolen land. What about slaves? What is about that? Yeah. Do you hear about slaves now? No. Thanks to Abraham Lincoln, there aren't any. It's just like she's living like her head is under a rock. Like her viewpoints that she touches on, I don't agree with, and neither does, you know, Nick. They're just it's almost laughable. You know, the only like I guess these people had to find somebody that was going to spew some type of BS, because I guess they can't have all protesters have the same views. I guess they wanted somebody who was going to be a little out there, and they picked somebody who's out there. I mean,
oh, she's out there.
Yeah, she's
out there.
Let's
continue with the video here.
Yeah.
Law enforcement. Why is it
I'm not sharing the screen, am I? I'm not, of course. Whoops. Sorry about that, guys. You probably still heard the video, but
you all have SWAT. What type of guns do you all have? All the weapons that you all carry, what's really necessary? Because tax dollars are paying for that.
Maybe we need to clarify what militarization means, right? Because you say that, what weapons are you guys using, right? There are 3 deadly weapons in my vehicle at one time. My service pistol, my shotgun, and my rifle. The other tools that I have are tools that I'm going to use so somebody doesn't end up dying. So my taser, pepper spray, my baton.
Meanwhile, Gloria's not even listening to the guy talk.
Absolutely. I don't train that often. I should. But when you say that it's over-militarized, I'm not understanding what that means. I don't use military weapons.
So I just want to point out that we as police officers, we don't want to kill people. That's not our objective. We want everyone to go home safely. I've been in multiple situations where I have had my gun on pointed at somebody. And I'll point out one example. There's a drunk guy behind the wheel, stopped at a green light. He has a gun right there in the passenger seat. He keeps reaching for his gun, keeps reaching for it. And thank God that I didn't shoot him. I could have legally shot him. He was so close to picking up that gun and pointing it at me. We carry a shotgun, a rifle, and a pistol. These are all weapons that the general public has access to as well. If they have access to it, we have to have access to it.
I can remember a couple of the incidents that caused the police departments. It started with the FBI in Miami, where they were outgunned back in the 80s. And that's what caused, I believe, to go to automatic handguns as opposed to revolvers. And then it was the LA bank robberies where those officers were outgunned. And with all the school shootings, then at the same time, 9/11 hit, and a lot of the local jurisdictions wanted to be able to maintain law and order in case of a terrorist attack and not be outgunned in that circumstance.
Boom.
So
that guy just
to a regard that we have become
That guy, everything he touched on is a swish.
Like swish.
That guy made some good points.
Absolutely. That was a total swish. And that guy just,
him
he sort of checked me. You know what I'm saying? He
brought up the two most valuable points about why cops carry, assault rifles, with the 1990, what was it, 1997 LA bank robbery? Yeah, the LA bank robbery. Cops back then, literally, in 97, cops in LA didn't have patrol rifles. Most cops still on LAPD back then, some of them carried revolvers still. All they carried was revolvers and Berettas back then, and shotguns. Some of them had shotguns, but that's it. These guys had body armor, and one of them had body armor from head to toe, from neck to toe. He was covered in body armor, homemade body armor, and they had AK-47s. These guys were outgunned for 47 minutes. And then, like he said, that FBI shooting in Florida where 2 FBI agents got killed. Those guys had assault rifles, and that was back in 87. Cops back then had those guys had revolvers. So he makes some pretty good points, and I got to give that guy props.
That guy was a swish.
I gotta tip my hat to that guy. Like I give him kudos for thinking of that, because I wouldn't have thought of that until, like I said, he brought it up. But that's a very, very good point.
That was a total swish right there.
Yep. And I'm aggravated.
And he even corrected me, like, on some of the thoughts that I had. Now that I hear that, I'm like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. I don't think that cops need to walk around looking like they're going to invade, Iraq, but at the same time, like, yes, they need to have certain tools so they're not outgunned. Cops shouldn't have to go to work and worry about getting killed. That's ridiculous, you know. But they still don't need to go to work and look like they're gonna, kick a door down because they have BDUs and they got 2 tasers and they got ear things and this and that Navy SEAL stuff.
It kind of seems like you're not opposed to the equipment they carry. It kind of seems like you're opposed to just how their uniforms are, like how their uniforms are set up. So if cops look like,
I just think that they need to look more
like police officers and not, somebody who's about to go commit a mass shooting with, body armor and assault rifles slung down. And I'm with you on that. As far as like cops can wear like plate carriers and stuff like that. But the BDUs, the shoes, the boots tucked in, their pants tucked into their boots.
I mean, if you wear a trauma plate, wear the trauma plate in your vest that goes underneath your shirt. Don't wear the outer vest carrier that makes you look like you're going to go. I mean, they have those outer vest carriers that look like shirts. Those are nice. But when you look like you're trying to be a tactical Tony, I think that's too much for me, in my personal opinion. But I don't care that much about it. It's the police's decisions. They do what they want. I've never had an issue with the cops, so I don't, I can't speak to that. But listen, we're actually gonna pause. We're gonna do a part 2 of this right now, but we're just gonna try to keep this to an hour. We're gonna continue this video. We're gonna continue looking at this very interesting stuff. So we hope you like this part 1 of this, and stay tuned because we're about to come back with part 2. We just don't want to have a 2-hour-long live stream. Yeah. But if you're interested, we're about to literally do the part 2 right now. So keep it real. Thank you for tuning into Paco's Insight. If you pretty much get the gist of the video and you enjoyed it, just let us know in the comments. If you want to see the rest of the video, we're about to do part 2 right now. So keep it real.